Welcome to the InSession Film Podcast for May 12th, 2013. This is episode 12. I'm JD.
I'm Matthew Mason.
And I'm Nate Parsons.
and for real, that's Brandi Woodrum, but we'll pretend for this week it's Nate Parsons. As Nate is, he's very out and he's sick and can hardly talk. So the poor guy is going on 3 weeks of this. So hopefully he'll be okay here in these next few weeks. So, but for this week, filling in will be my lovely fiance, Brandi Woodrum.
Oh yeah.
So glad to have her, our first female guest on the show. So that's fun. So it only took us 12 episodes.
Wow, we're progressive.
so we're doing good. But for the show today, we are going to be reviewing Baz Luhrmann's latest film, The Great Gatsby, which should be a lot of fun after we've been talking a lot about him over the last 4 weeks. And then our new top 3 for this week is classic novel characters, which should be a lot of fun, especially for Brandi. And after that, we have no movie series that we're going to start next week. We're going to start a new one next week where we're going to be going over the first 2 before movies, Before Sunrise and Before Sunset. And that'll lead up to the release of Before Midnight, which comes out in a couple weeks, which should be a lot of fun. And so for this week, we are going to be doing a new game called What Are the Chances? And we're going to be going over some news items, and we'll explain that later once we get to that part in the show. And then we're going to finish off the show with some movies we've seen this week as usual, and a little bit of a little thing at the end, which is going to be a little bittersweet. So, but let's get into it. Baz Luhrmann's latest film, The Great Gatsby, which was also written by Baz Luhrmann as well as Craig Pearce, which stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Joel Edgerton, Tobey Maguire, Carey Mulligan, and many others as well. What did you guys think of Baz Luhrmann's latest film, The Great Gatsby?
I seriously think it's probably his most straightforward film and probably his most sophisticated film he's made.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Albeit I have not seen Australia still. I liked the movie a lot. I can't say I loved it. Like, I did fall in love with Moulin Rouge. This one, there was not a ton to fall in love with, but that's the nature of the film. I've read the book twice. I was never honestly a fan of Fitzgerald's work in the first place, and I could not put words to why I wasn't a fan of it, because it was well written and was definitely it earned its place as classic literature because it was so well constructed. Characters are really well developed. Plot is just really interesting, and it's very relatable. But beyond that, I couldn't figure out, like, I should like this. Well, after watching Luhrmann's adaptation, I now understand why. And the phrase of how I would describe Luhrmann's adaptation is, it is technically marvelous, but emotionally void. And I realized that is the book itself. Like, the book is that exact same way. It's masterfully done, but there's no emotion in it because, well, these are characters who are pretty much devoid of it because they've had to live these really superficial lives. And I love that Luhrmann was able to bring that to the forefront of this film. The film is beautiful in its respect of just how much attention to detail there is in costuming, in set design, in just attention to detail in characters and mannerisms and talking, and just the artistry of the film is brilliant. The music, fantastic. I love the blend of jazz age music with modern day hip hop and rap. Yeah, it was great. And all of it just melds so beautifully. And yet I've never once engaged with the film on an emotional level, even though there's a lot of, like, what is emotion going on. There's murder, there is affairs, there's all this just stuff going on that is so heavy, and you'd think you'd be engaging and wanting to cry or wanting to yell at the screen, and I wasn't, but that's how the characters are. You're not supposed to engage at that level, and I thought Luhrmann did it fantastically, as well as, the performances is just carrying that really nuanced, lack of emotion.
Yeah, I agree. I also enjoyed it very much, and I'm usually a little turned off by the lengthier movies, and this one was pushing 2 hours and 30 minutes. But I also found it very entertaining, and I was entertained throughout the entire thing. Not once was I like, oh man, come on already. I agree with you. The visuals are really great. You said the costumes, which I hadn't thought of previous to this, but they were really awesome costumes. Everyone looked great in them. And then with the music thing that you talked about, me and JD had talked about this a little bit before, how the rap brought in a little bit of a modern twist, which at first I was like, I don't know, because that's not really 20s, but it was cool seeing that bring in the modern piece, because like we also talked about the story is a very modern story, and
it's rather timeless as the story is, and that's why like you don't have to be trapped in the 20s to have a story of longing for someone and not being able to get them and deceit and all this kind of stuff. Like it was really transcendent, and I think that's why the blend of music worked really well.
Yeah, exactly. It's issues and emotions and stuff that you're going to see in everyday life forever, basically.
Yeah, I agree with you guys wholeheartedly on a lot of that stuff. I really love this film a lot. Like you, Matthew, I'm pretty much right in your boat with a lot of this stuff. I think regardless of what you think of, Baz Luhrmann's other films, this one is pretty straightforward. Like you were saying, I mean, it was so straightforward that even Nate liked it a little bit.
Yeah, that was shocking when I came next door and he's like, yeah, what'd you think? It was okay. Yeah. Oh my gosh, this must be fantastic.
So, when Nate even likes it a little bit, this film is pretty good. So you can really step outside of what people think of him as a director. So going into the film, I really enjoyed it a lot. I loved how it was filmed through Tobey Maguire's character, obviously, but I love how he pulled that off with him kind of going back and forth between I get what was really just a flashback, which was most of the film, and him kind of writing out the story and how he felt and what his perspective was, and seeing these other characters around him when he was in New York, I thought was just absolutely beautiful. Like you were saying, Matthew, the visuals in this movie is amazing. The camera movements are very fast, but they're very elegant, and they have a lot of purpose with them. So while they're moving in these circles and kind of even going up and down a lot, everything is in rhythm. Like you were saying with the artistry, there's, a scene where 3 butlers kind of walk out the door at the exact same time. They turn to the right in the exact same order. It's very choreographed.
So awesome.
But it's not just people. I mean, you had like curtains blowing in the wind, like they're dancing together. Just different things like that. There's natural elements with the breezes and the wind. Like everything is in rhythm in this, and it's just so beautiful and graceful. And I love his use of slow motion in this film also. There's certain moments where he's using it, not all the time, but he's using it to capture certain moments to really pull you into the drama. And like you were saying, Brandi, where this story is so relatable to how things are in everyday life, even today, with, how many times do you hear stories of friends or things on the news or just even in other movies and novels where, there's drama, like there's, people cheating on each other, there's murder and all kinds of craziness, and things like this happen in very everyday life. I was pulled in a little bit more emotionally than you were, I think, Matthew. I was definitely into the characters, especially from Gatsby's point of view. I loved that character of Jay Gatsby. I thought Leonardo DiCaprio pulls him off very, very well. Just kind of bringing you, I just love, I guess, the lore of the character altogether. And I think he does a really good job for me, I guess, as far as making sure that the foundation of the character was really about one thing, and everything that he did was for this one girl. And I think he does a great job of showing that, because not only does he love the girl, and you see that in the movie, but there are times where he's just very awkward. He's around her and he doesn't know what to say, doesn't know what to do. It's very awkward. And then there's other times where he's very passionate and he's very angry and he's jealous and all these other things. And so there's so much emotion, and it goes through the whole scale of emotion. And I thought he does that very, very well. What did you guys think of the performances?
DiCaprio was fantastic. I mean, he was the standout in the film. I think one of the first things that I really noticed while watching the film was that I didn't notice that it's actors that I know well, playing these characters. These are also literary characters that I grew up with and knew them, and they just melded into him. Like, I, the entire time, did not see DiCaprio, did not see Tobey Maguire, did not see Carey Mulligan, did not see Egerton. Like, I was really just kind of shocked. Like, I saw Tom and Daisy, I saw Nick Carraway, I saw Gatsby. Like, I was really surprised because I'm the first person to kind of see through acting most of the time, and I really, tip my hat to them. I don't think there's necessarily anything like that would go down as stellar or be a performance for the ages necessarily. I think DiCaprio's Gatsby would be the only one that comes close to that. But to still be able to play off that well, these are big personalities trying to blend into characters with even bigger personalities. And they do it well. They actually let the character win out on that. And I love that about the movie.
For the entire version of our podcast, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher, or check us out online at InSessionFilm.com.